we still have monkeys on the loose in Mississippi. I don't know if you heard about this, but a truck full of monkeys overturned. Rhesus monkeys, which those are the monkeys made out of peanut butter and chocolate, I think. 3 of them are still unaccounted for. So if a monkey shows up at your door for trick or treat, don't assume it's a kid. Offer it a piece of fruit. If it takes it, it isn't human. Okay?
You know, that's actually a semi-funny joke from Jimmy Kimmel. I'm very surprised at that. Wow. I guess it can happen. I mean, it wasn't a gut buster. I wasn't guffawing, but if a monkey shows up at your door on Halloween, you offer it fruit and it rejects it, you know it's not a monkey. It's probably a kid in a monkey costume. And it would be a good monkey costume. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plante on the Chris Plante Show on this Friday, this Halloween Friday. Friday Luya to you. Maybe I should say Friday Booyah to you in honor of Halloween. I don't know. Speaking of Jimmy Kimmel, earlier this week, and I don't watch Kimmel's show, earlier this week I saw that Tim Allen was scheduled to be on Kimmel's show. And I thought that's kind of weird because Tim Allen is a very vocal conservative. Tim Allen is a guy who I consider to be one of those rare voices in Hollywood that stands up for conservative principles. And Jimmy Kimmel having him on the show seems like that would be a problem. Well, that tells me that ABC is kind of realizing the old Michael Jordan theory that, you know, conservatives watch television too, conservatives buy sneakers too, so why play the political card? And apparently Kimmel and Tim Allen have a history when they were both in the early days of their comedy careers. And reportedly there was, I didn't watch the segment because frankly, I don't want to give Jimmy Kimmel any support. But apparently there was nothing political discussed. They just promoted his show. And Allen used to have a show on Fox. He's now got a show on ABC. So ABC Disney, which owns Kimmel, had to have him on to promote the show to try and generate some revenue. You turn to the conservatives to generate the revenue, of course. But Tim Allen has not shied away from being political on his show. His former show, Last Man Standing, had several moments of great political comedy, if I remember.
You know what, honey? Hillary Clinton was a Goldwater girl in 1964.
So? Satan used to work for God. What's your point?
That kind of comedy, I think, would do very well, and apparently it is. Apparently, Tim Allen's show doing well for ABC Disney. And they used him, I guess, to get some eyeballs on Kimmel's show, some more sane, common sense eyeballs. Again, Tim Allen from his Last Man Standing show with some good old-fashioned comedy.
I don't like being patient.
Nobody does. It's a learned skill. What do we call people that go willy-nilly through life just doing things because it feels good?
Democrats.
Attaboy.
Attaboy indeed. Well done. Well done. But it just shows you, I do believe the Trump effect is starting to go deeper into entertainment. As you're seeing ABC Disney wanting to survive and realizing that they have to cater to the mass of us who elected President Trump. Now, I'm trying to keep my eye on everything today. There's some big stories bubbling. And we're not getting a whole lot of information out of Michigan in terms of great details on the arrest the FBI made earlier today, other than the reports that say the planned attacks this weekend in Michigan that they have thwarted were ISIS-inspired. ISIS-inspired. Now, that troubles me. And I think Michigan is obviously an area where the FBI understands, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino understand the urgent need for bodies on the ground, intel on the ground. So thank God they apparently stopped this one, but who knows what else is going on. We're also discussing today the nuclear option. President Trump wants the Republicans in the Senate to take the nuclear option, take the filibuster off the table so that they can pass the reopening of the government with just 51 votes. So we'll see where that goes. I'm against it. I'm totally against it. And it's one of those that I guess we should always have an open discussion on it, which is why I always leave the phones open at 888-630-9625, 888-630-9625. I want to get to some more clips, but I see the phones are pretty active today, which is fun for a Friday. So let's talk with Mark in Chicago on line 5, listening on the great WLS. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the Chris Plante Show with Mike Opelka. Mark, you with me? Or it's Alan. I'm seeing Alan. Perhaps I miss. Pardon me for misnaming you, Alan.
Hello, Michael. How are you?
I'm good. Sincerest apologies. I got the wrong name.
Okay. Well, some people call me Mud, but I'll accept that. Mike, what we're seeing, and I have read Hayek, I've read Friedman and others. We're watching what Hayek warned us of. The government now has so much control. They use the policies as weaponization. And by growing rapidly at sometimes programs like food stamps, which started in 1974, in 2000, 6% of our population, 17 million people, received food stamps. Today, 42 million do. That's 12%. Well, how did that happen? Because poverty is lower today than it was then. You know, Michael, we have to look not only at this program but others. In 1970, 1 child out of 10 was illegitimate at birth. Today, 4 out of 10 are. The Great Society has been an attack on civilization, on fundamental institutions of our society, and the Democrats are proud of it. I mean, they continue to tell us how good it is for us, but take a look carefully, America, where you are today. Your hand is out. You're waiting for benefits. That's not what America's all about. America's about individualism, freedom, and initiative.
Yeah, we have, at least I was raised on the old south side of Chicago and then on the north side later as our family moved. We were raised that the assistance from the government is not supposed to be a forever thing. It's supposed to be a hand up to your next level. And then once you're back on your feet, you take care of yourself and you rely on yourself because the government that can give you everything can take it away from you. And
Michael,
that's kind of where we are.
Prior to the Depression, we had mutual aid societies. We didn't have government programs. FDR gave us the AFDC, Aid for Families with Dependent Children. Of course, Lyndon Johnson gave us the great GRATE Society. This is a disaster, and it's leading to a loss of freedom. You know, Hayek said this would lead to totalitarianism. The Democrats use that word, but it applies to them, not to me or you. And I'm a Southside from Marquette Park. I've got a few years on you. I'm 74, and I've watched this disaster. I've watched, Thelma and Louise at high speed head toward the cliff, and we're in the back seat.
Well, let's since you brought it up, Alan, you're there in Chicago, and we've been seeing all of the tension in front of the facility, the ICE facility, just outside of the city. Is there a change in attitude in the overall population of the city? Is there any support for what's going on, for what ICE is doing, for what DHS is doing?
Absolutely. And, can I tell you, I have a relative that's a detective in Chicago, and I have a friend who's Mexican, and he's a policeman in Chicago. They're fully supportive of it. They're not supportive of the leadership in the state because they've seen the crime wave that's gone on in the city of Chicago, and there's something brewing in Chicago. 5% of the population of the city of Chicago is gang affiliated. There's such tension because the drug trafficking here between these gangs, there's a potential for civil war. Of course, our murder rate will be low, about 450. But, in the last 10 years, it averaged about 661 a year in a city in the richest country in the world.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. And the best way to follow the Chicago crime, there's a website called HeyJackass.com, which I monitor it several times a week that shows the stats October to date. 31 people shot and killed, 126 shot and wounded in just the 30 days so far in October. And this year to date, your numbers are 317. But total homicides 377. So you're trending downward with 2 months to go, but that was never the case when we were growing up. And it is directly related to crime and the lack of enforcement of the laws in the city that I grew up in, that Chris grew up in. It is very disturbing. But, you bring up something, Alan, when you talk about what Hayek said, and that the dependence on government leads to the totalitarianism. And the left is frequently saying that Trump is a totalitarian guy or has totalitarian dreams. It goes back to everything Chris has said, and I've said it too. When a finger's pointing at you, there's three pointing right back at them. They accuse us of what they hope and plan to do. And it's disturbing. I think there's an awakening happening, but it's just not happening quick enough for me. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate you being there. And say hello to my hometown. And hopefully the Bears will get back on the winning track again. As I said, it's Mike Opelka. I'm in for Chris Plante. I want to go back to the phones in Arkansas. Joe is on line 2. Joe, welcome to the Chris Plante Show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for taking my call. And I want to say you do a great job when you sub.
Thank you, brother.
Chris.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But anyway, I'm not really for the nuclear option to be used either. But I got to thinking, the Democrats won't hesitate to use it in the future, whether we use it or not. So maybe if it could be worked to our advantage, because everybody knows right now that the Democrats are the ones that are shutting the government down, and they're refusing to pay the government employees who are forced to work right now. So, it would be a good opportunity maybe for the government for the Republicans to go ahead and open it up, the government, or maybe just kind of ease into it by opening up the option to pay the government workers that were forced to work. And that would show the Democrats that maybe we aren't so bad and that they're the ones that really holding up the show.
Well, it does seem to me like the GOP is on the right side of history on this. And the statistic numbers that we quoted earlier, there is more data from our friend Harry Enton over at CNN, an actual pollster, not a medical condition. I want to share some of those with you. So thank you for your call and your thoughts on that. I'm one of those people that said, listen, GOP, you're going the right direction on this. More data from our friend Harry Enton on the shift in popularity and support for the GOP, and it's not just among the base.
With whom? So I think it's two groups that it's so important to keep an eye on. All right, changing the Republican Congress's net approval rating versus pre-shutdown. It's rallying the base for sure. Look at this, the net approval rating up 12 points versus pre-shutdown. But it's not just with the base. It's also with the middle of the electorate. Look at this, among independents. It's up 8 points as well. So we've got a situation here where Republicans with the shutdown are actually rallying their base, but it's also something that's not hurting them with the folks in the middle. If anything, it's helping them with folks in the middle. And this is the type of math that if you're Republicans, you like to see, right? Because something could rally the base but alienate those in the middle, or something could rally those in the middle but alienate the base. But the truth is, we're not seeing that. What we're seeing is the Republican brand has actually gotten better among independents, and it's also gotten better among Republicans as well, that Republican brand when it comes to those in Congress.
So what we are seeing is really unique and maybe an anomaly in politics, especially a year out from the very critical midterm elections, a week out, less than a week out from a couple of very important elections. The independents are waking up. The independents are seeing that the Democrats are wrong on this. They've totally missed it. The common sense approach to being America first for American citizens, I believe, will pay off this week and long term. We'll get into it because there's more Democrat nonsense and some common sense from the Fetter monster, John Fetterman, making sense again. We'll get into that. It's Opelka in for Plante on the Chris Plante Show. It is the Chris Plante Show on this Halloween Friday. Mike Opelka in for my friend Chris Plante. We might have to do a second edition of Democrats Say the Darndest Things because Nancy Pelosi she got loose yesterday. She was at the Kennedy School at Harvard, and I can't be certain because we don't have any scientific testing. But Nancy Pelosi was speechifying yesterday and said some questionable things that you might ask for an intervention, possibly. And then there are some of the more bizarre things that are going on out there. People that are giving advice to folks who are facing tension, stress over the loss of potential supplemental nutrition assistance benefits, EBT, the food stamps, whatever you want to call it. There's a woman who's out there telling people, McDonald's has their Monopoly game going on right now. And if you download the app on your phone, they have to give you a free play up to 5 times a day, meaning you could get a free game card without having to buy anything. That's how they get around the lottery laws in the States. And when you play the Monopoly game, you either win free food or a fake property. You'll win Atlantic Avenue or something. But they're now telling people, don't go out and get a job and support yourself. Play the McDonald's game and gamble Vegas style. So you go through the drive-thru and get you free fries or a soda or a burger, whatever. This is craziness. We're not helping people to become responsible citizens. It's absolutely, and it also bothers me when fast food is allowed to accept all of this stuff. All of it. It's really disturbing. Like I said, I have more Nancy Pelosi clips. I have John Fetterman clips, but I'm going to need some time with the Fetterman clips. John Fetterman, Senator John Fetterman, often sounding like he could be a man that switches parties. But at the end of the day, Fetterman still votes with Democrats about 99.5% of the time. He has voted to reopen the government, but generally he is a reliable vote for the Democrats. Also have a quote from the vice president who met with a bunch of senators yesterday and a few others from the cabinet, including Secretary Duffy, talking about the air travel concerns that people have, especially with Thanksgiving just around the corner. We'll get to some of that for you and your calls at 888-630-9625, 888-630-9625. But Fetterman, is he real or is he cagey? Because he's facing a primary challenge from his own party. We'll get to all of that just around the corner. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plante on The Chris Plante Show. It is The Chris Plante Show, but Chris is not here till Monday. It's Mike Opelka sitting in for my friend Chris Plante. Thanks for being here, and happy Halloween. It's kind of fun when Halloween happens on a Friday, but I always get a little nervous too. Although last night was what they used to call Mischief Night or Hell Night, and not seeing a lot of reports about craziness. And maybe that has to do with what the FBI announced earlier today when they announced this group of arrests up in Michigan, and perhaps there were other organizations that were disrupted by the FBI. The FBI also announcing, I believe, the Chicago action has yielded 3,000 arrests of people, and now DHS and Transportation Department are saying they're also cracking down on illegals who have commercial driver's licenses. We talked about that earlier today. I know the Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, is really working hard to get the people driving semi-tractor trailers around the country to be able to read English. What a novel concept that is, isn't it? It's just kind of crazy you would think that. We would want people driving 65, 75 miles an hour with 70,000 pounds of steel or a load of whatever to be able to read the street signs. I watched a cop video, a dash cam or a body cam video of a police officer who arrested a Chinese man who spoke no English. And DHS has sent out a computer program to law enforcement around the country. The people they stop have to be able to identify and understand traffic signs. You know, you'd think that'd be a reasonable thing to do. And you only have to understand 75% of them. This guy understood 25%. And thank God they took him off the road, because God knows what would have happened. We've had several crashes in the past where people have died because folks who shouldn't be here and couldn't speak the language were given driver's licenses, many of them in California, some of them in Illinois, some of them in New York, and a whole bunch of them with no name given, which just doesn't make any sense. So glad to see there's some action on that. I want to get to some of the crazy things said by Democrats because we have precious little time. But I also want to give a little bit of a shout out to the Vice President, J.D. Vance, who was really giving it to the Senate Democrats for their failure to negotiate on any honest level to reopen the government.
Here is our very simple proposal to the Democrats. Let's sit down and come to a compromise and work it out. And you know what the Democrats' response to that is? Give us everything we want, or we're going to shut down the government and keep it shut down. That is not reasonable behavior. That's not how you do compromise in this town. That is the way that the Democrats have operated. They are trying to take a hostage, and we can't reward that behavior.
I love that. We do not reward bad behavior. Excellent. Keep it going, sir. Don't give in. And also maybe don't kill the filibuster. Come back to bite you. Also, the presidents of the Airlines for America, Southwest Airlines Pilot Association, Allied Pilots Association, Air Traffic Controllers Association, all are furious with what's going on.
The biggest way to ensure the safety, security, and reliability of our national air traffic control system is to pass a clean continuing resolution.
How about that? How about that? The actual language from leaders of unions involved in air travel as we are rounding the corner on Thanksgiving. Democrats, as I mentioned earlier, Axios is saying they have credible reporting that the Democrats are just waiting until after Tuesday's elections. Maybe they're telling us Wednesday everything will be fine. Wonder why. We'll get into that. I mentioned the Democrats and the Democrats saying the darndest things. And one guy that we always keep an eye on is John Fetterman, the hoodie-wearing senator from Pennsylvania who always seems to have a little bit of unreasonableness about him. John Fetterman sitting on a bench outside with CNN's Manu Raju yesterday. Cut 2, please, Jeff.
So what are you hearing back home about SNAP expiring on Saturday?
I'm saying that I will witness it firsthand. My wife, Giselle, she develops the free store in our community, and it distributes food 3 times a week. And her lines have already got longer. And now I will encounter people that have no SNAP benefits starting on Saturday, and I don't have an explanation for them. All I could say is, I'm sorry. It's an absolute failure what occurred here for the last month, and now things are really going to land. And imagine being a parent with a couple kids and how you're going to fill their refrigerator and pack their lunches and get on with their lives when the things that they've depended on now is gone because we can't even agree to just open things up.
Interesting. One of the things that I noticed in Senator Fetterman's language, he said, imagine being a parent with a couple of kids. Interesting. What about there may be a side effect of this that could be beneficial? One of the things we've often talked about is the breakdown of the family unit, the nuclear family, having 2 parents in a household. You tend to not have as much economic distress, and we kind of made it easy for people to say, hey, life is tough at home. Yes, everybody's life is tough at home. You have to work things out. but we made it easy for people to leave. The government will cover you. The government will provide you with Section 8. The government will provide you with food assistance and medical health care support. Could this be kind of force people to get back together, maybe? And I'm just throwing that out there. It just hit me when I heard Fetterman say a parent with a couple of kids, two parents with a couple of kids, and the task is shared and perhaps more manageable. This interview with Manu Raju and John Fetterman continued. Cut 3, please.
For a Democrat, we're not allowed to just open this up. I mean, then our party has bigger problems than I thought we might have already. It's not controversial. Pay everybody. And you have our workers here borrowed over $350 million to pay their own bills. Like, it's a failure. And like I said, to all of the viewers, I'm apologizing that we can't even get our together and just open up our government.
It is astounding to me, and not lost on me, the fact that the senators and the congressmen, they're still able to cash their checks. And the members of the military, the people that are also running the air traffic controller systems, they can't because they're not getting checks. You have people like Senator Rick Scott of Florida, who's openly said we shouldn't be getting paid. But I think Fetterman understands it. I think he understands the negativity of it. He is also someone who has voted to reopen the government. He's one of the tiny handful of Democrats in the Senate who said, yeah, we should just reopen it and renegotiate like we did last time. And for his common sense on that topic, the Democrats are targeting him. You watch. In the next cycle, he will face a primary challenge. He's already facing, the rumors of it are thick in Pennsylvania. Manu Raju continued his discussions, this time talking about Chuck Schumer and saying every day gets better for the Democrats, and Fetterman had something to say about that.
Schumer said this gets better politically every day for Democrats. What do you say to that?
Yeah, well, ask the hungry people on Saturday. It's like, that's the thing. Americans are not leveraged. This is not some game show about who's winning or whatever. It's just like we have to be better than this and just open this up. And I do, talk to any number of Republicans who they agree that we have this conversation about extending these tax credits.
So you had a protester running up at the end, just kind of interrupting and yelling, but that's kind of D.C. That's what happens. Fetterman is approaching this, I think, from what the Democrats would benefit from, a common sense position, but he is considered to be an outsider, an outlier on this. Let's grab a call or two on this. 888-630-9625, 888-630-9625. Manuel is in New Mexico on line 4. Manny, welcome to the Chris Plante Show.
Great show. Enjoying it.
Thank you.
Michael, let me address a few things, okay?
Okay.
I'm a professional truck driver, a United States Marine veteran, 11 years. Now as a professional driver, I'm all over the country, okay? And the one thing that people in this country need to know is that, okay, I feel for the families that have kids and, with this SNAP thing, the nuclear deal and so on and so forth. But you have to remember something. I'm 65 years old. Throughout the history of this country, Democrats have done whatever in the capital H they have felt to do. They have done it. They have zero regrets. The proof is what they did to President Trump and the rest of us who voted for him, okay? So as far as the nuclear deal, well, if they get the chance to do it, they're going to do it. There is no question about it, okay? So I don't understand why Republicans for far too long have what they've done is basically bent over backwards. Democrats have kicked them in the rear end, and they just seem to enjoy it. Have never fought back. And finally, we have a president up there who's for the people, who loves this country, and we need to support them. And I think we need to stop thinking about what the Democrats will do or not do, because the proof is in the pudding. They've done it all, and they will continue to do whatever they want. What do you think?
I think you're right on that. I just happen to have a personal feeling about the killing of the filibuster is not a good idea, because I truly think we're less than a week away from this ending. And the polling numbers that CNN is showing us, the people, we're getting the message out there that we just want a negotiation. We don't want you guys to hang all this extra $1.5 trillion in spending on it. And I think the messaging has been good. So I'm telling Republicans, hold forth, dig in. Like you probably learned in the Marines. Once you got your position, you stay locked in. You got it done. I think you're right on this. I think you're right on this, Manuel. Now, I have to ask you, what are you hauling?
I'm a flatbedder, sir, so I'm still in pretty good shape. And to address one other thing that other driver with 20 years experience, I've had a CDL since 85, okay?
Yeah.
I had served 4 years in the Corps. I got out, couldn't handle civilian life. I went back in. And let me tell you something about how it used to be. 1985, sir, I went to Rialto, California. After doing in-home training, okay, had all these tests I had to pass with an 85% or better. This is Superior Training Service in Rialto, California, okay? And then I went to a resident school for 2 weeks, okay? That's how I got my CDL. Now, the problem is with government, okay, both sides of the aisle, okay, because we have allowed foreigners to come here. Forget about they can't read and speak English part of it. How many of them have even driven a freaking car? You know?
Yeah.
And that is a huge problem. They go for a week, maybe 2 weeks, and they have a CDL. They turn them loose. A lot of companies will allow them to become so-called mentors or trainers after a couple of months because the company can make more money. There has to be accountability, and I'm mentioning this to Duffy, Secretary, the Secretary of Transportation, and also to Secretary of State Noem. Okay, I'm addressing this to them. They need to thoroughly look into what I just said, because the problem is with the schools, the training, and that is, in my opinion, the biggest problem, because it doesn't matter if somebody can speak English or not. If they don't get the proper training, there's still a hazard out here. I see it all the time. Drivers falling asleep, going off in the ditch, going off in the medium. On a perfectly clear, sunny day, no wind, no nothing, sir. It happens, and it happens a lot.
I do believe you're seeing the Homeland Security Secretary and the Transportation Secretary not only looking at the drivers, but following the money, because we fund a lot of those schools in order to get those people certified. So I thank you for your service. I thank you for your call. I think you're onto something here, Manuel. So keep all those tires on the contact with the pavement. Safe roads ahead to you, sir. We appreciate you. Wow, Marine and a truck driver all at the same time. He sees it. He sees it all. I'd step aside and take a break. When we come back, did we go to the moon? Did we? A major media figure has questions about whether or not America landed on the moon. I have questions about her credibility. We'll talk about it. It's Mike Opelka for Chris Plante on The Chris Plante Show. It is the Chris Plante Show. Mike Opelka wrapping up my guest hosting duties for today. Chris returns on Monday. I want to get to this clip about the moon landing, but real quick, I want to take one more call. Thank you, Jasmine, for doing so much great work on the phones today. Chris is in Montgomery County, Maryland. Chris, you had a thought here.
Yeah, Mike. I'm just curious, if they pass the CR 7 weeks from now, we still won't have a budget. So this seems like a circle fest, for lack of a better word.
Well,
how do you see this resolving itself?
It's a very temporary solution, but I also think it's important to make sure our soldiers, our air traffic controllers are paid, and the people that actually need the SNAP benefits get it. So it's one of those where
I agree 100%.
It's not a great win, but it's a better idea to me. But thank you for pointing that out. We still don't have a budget, But let's get the government back open and then get started on that. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. I have to play this clip for you before we get out of here. Kim Kardashian. Perhaps you've heard of her. I don't follow the Kardashians. I have never kept up with them. But she had something interesting to say.
I'm sending you, so far, 1 million interviews with both Buzz Aldrin and the other one.
Do it.
This girl says, what was the scariest moment? And he goes, there was no scary moment because it didn't happen. It could have been scary, but it wasn't because it didn't happen. So he's gotten old, and now he slurs on his thing. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. So I think it didn't happen.
I'm going to go on a massive deep dive is what's going to happen. Okay. I'm going to go on a serious deep dive.
I sent her conspiracies all the time.
Yeah. The Kardashians don't believe we landed on the moon. At least Kim Kardashian. That's from the All's Fair podcast with someone named Sarah Paulson. Neil Armstrong spinning in his grave. Buzz Aldrin would probably come over and throw a water balloon at you. Craziness. One quick thought before the weekend hits us. I know there's a lot of fun going on this weekend. If you're someone who knows the cartoon Dilbert, it was always a lot of fun from our friend Scott Adams. Scott Adams, one of the great follows on social media. Scott Adams has been fighting a very, very aggressive form of cancer for some time, and yet he still manages to give a rather positive message every day. He's telling us he's about to lose the ability to draw. And that's probably because his cancer is coming after him. I'm one of the people who believes in prayer. If you're the same and you got a second, maybe say a prayer for Scott Adams. Miracles can happen. Thanks for being here. Chris returns on Monday. I appreciate all of you. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jasmine. Till next time, Mike Opelka reminding you, testudo, my friends, testudo.